All right, so I have a function here, f of x equals 2 secant negative pi over 2 times, this is supposed to be theta. I originally started to write x, but I changed my mind. I'm just too lazy to erase it. So this is theta plus 3, and then the whole thing is minus 1. So same idea of transformations, but here I'm going to use my cosine wave to construct my secant wave because the secant and cosine are the reciprocals of each other. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write, I don't need an equal sign because they're not the same, but 2 cosine of pi over 2 theta plus 3 minus 1. I'm going to graph this, and once I graph that, I'm going to use that to construct my secant graph. All right, so let's do this. So I'm going to do my table, my x, y. I'm going to pick important points, such as 0, pi over 2, pi, 3 pi over 2, and 2 pi. These are all just basically the axes on your unit circle. So cosine at 0 is 1, cosine at pi over 2 is 0, cosine at pi is negative 1, 0, 1. You'll have those, you should have those down once you have your unit circle memorized. All right, now we do our mapping. My b, we're going to multiply by the reciprocal. So if I have pi over 2, I'm going to do 2 over pi x. This plus 3, remember it's opposite. We're going to do minus 3. All right, let's do my y mapping. It's just 2 times this whole thing, treat it like a y, minus 1. So 2y minus 1. Take my x values, plug it in here. This becomes negative 3. This becomes 1 minus 3, which is negative 2. Negative 1, this becomes 0, and then this becomes 1. All right. Now, it won't work out nice and pretty all the time with this, but for demonstration purposes, I picked something pretty easy for me to do in my head. All right, so I'm going to put 1 in here. This gives me 2 minus 1, which gives me 1, negative 1. Let's see, this is negative 3, negative 1, and then 1. All right. All I have to do at this point, let's graph my cosine wave. So let me move over to the side. Since I'm using blue and I'm wearing blue, you can see what's going on. If I have 0, here's 1, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, 1, 2, 3, and negative 1. All right. So here is my cosine wave. Negative 3, 1. Negative 2, negative 1. Let's see. Wow, I lost my train of thought. Negative 1, negative 3. Negative 1, negative 3. 0, negative 1. And then 1, 1. So my graph's going to look something like this. Okay, now just like sine, or just like cosecant, the midline gives me my asymptotes. So I have a midline right here. So there's one asymptote. My midline's right here, so my x-axis is another asymptote. Wherever there is a maximum, it's going to open upwards. Wherever there's a minimum, it's going to open downward. And this is a maximum, so it's going to open upward. So there, ladies and gentlemen, is 2 secant of negative. Oh, I forgot to write my negative. Let's just erase this and call it good. I forgot to do my negative. This should have been flipped this way. So I just forgot to write my negative here, being lazy. I should have done a negative here, which changes all these signs, but I've already done graphing the whole thing, so it's just easier to erase the negative. All right, so here's the graph of 2 secant of pi over 2 times theta plus 3 minus 1. Same exact process as cosecant, not terribly bad. This mapping is the same process that we've done all last semester, and basically if you were in my Algebra 2 class, all of Algebra 2, and if you're in my geometry class, all the time in geometry. So you should be pretty familiar with this at this point. Hi, I'm Mr. Buzzard, and these videos are supplemental instruction for my students. If you found the video enjoyable, make sure you click the like button and click subscribe, as well as the bell for notifications to receive future videos on high school mathematics.